Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. My name is Ben Lister. Welcome to episode 14 of the Radio Legends series. In this series, I chat with the legends of radio about their time in radio, and we chat about the stations and the good old independent radio stations. Not like these networked, whatever they are these days. Not like the network stuff, whatever they are these days, like hits radio and all that. We're going to the good old fashioned days of the Viking FM of old, the Radio Air of old, the Hallam FM of old, and all the other stations that are under that local bracket. But today, my guest is Mr. Chris. There was also in Radio Independence Times. And this man, my guest today, once met Mr. Bruno Brooks once upon a time. It's the one, the only, Mr. Chris Kelly. Hello, Chris. Welcome along. How are you today?
Hello, Ben. Good afternoon, and it's nice to speak to you at last.
Yeah. How are you? You've met Bruno Brooks once upon a time.
Yes, I did. I was actually, the story of Bruno Brooks and my entry into radio it takes me right back to 1997. And I was actually driving a coach for Shearing's Holidays coaching company. And I was sat in a coach park in Windermere. And back in the day, there were no mobile phones to glance at. You had to buy a newspaper. Do you remember them, Ben, newspapers?
Yeah. Yeah, that's question. That's good. 6 questions about your broadcast career, if that's okay.
Yep.
You ready to rumble in the jungle?
I'm ready to rumble in the jungle.
Okay, let's go for it. Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
Well, I was actually saying at the point that I was in this coach park in Windermere on a coach, and I picked up a newspaper and I saw an advertisement for a company called BBME, which I didn't know then stood for Bruno Brooks Media and Entertainment. So I filled it in, and it offered 3 courses in London. To go and sit with Bruno Brooks. And I don't know whether he was aware that Keith Chegwin, the late Keith Chegwin, was his partner at the time. And I went down to his school and I got my wings down there. And Bruno Brooks managed a demo for me, created a demo. I sent that off to the radio stations. And basically I got a job at 97.2 Stray FM, a commercial radio station for Harrogate. Les Gunn, who now incidentally works on True Radio, my station, he is now doing a syndicate show on a Sunday night on True Radio. And that's how it all started.
Yeah, and who was the first big name you actually met in your career then? Apart from Bruno Brooks.
Apart from Bruno Brooks. Now then. Well, I once interviewed the Prime Minister at the time. But he wasn't a radio presenter, John Major, but he wasn't a radio presenter. But I think the most famous radio presenter that I've ever met, crikey, I've met so many. Peter Powell. Do you remember Peter Powell from Radio 1?
Heard of him.
Yeah, Peter Powell. I've worked alongside Simon Bates at a Radio 1 roadshow once, many years ago. I've met a few.
One of my favourite presenters, obviously, is I do like James Whale, obviously, but I do like as well. Sometimes I like this. I don't mind because I came over here. I don't mind a man who's from Hull called Steve Jordan, if you've heard of him.
It rings a bell. I don't know Steve, but it does ring a bell.
Yeah, and I do I also do like who I think is a brilliant, talented radio presenter who I listened to in the early days. The person who got me into radio is the one, the only Stephanie Hurst, obviously, you know too.
Yes, I know Hursty. I grew up alongside Hursty in Barnsley. He's a Barnsley person, and he used to come he first came into my pub when he was 14 and asked if he could have a go on the decks. That's a long, long time ago. Probably one of the best tech ops in the world, to be fair.
Yeah, and she's still brilliant radio presenter.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you sometimes, yeah, see her and stuff. I don't know if you've seen her, see her much due to the COVID, obviously.
I've not seen Hursty for a long time. I left Barnsley 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago now, I think. So I've not actually. I used to see her when he came. I used to have pubs in Barnsley, you see. I used to DJ in pubs in Barnsley, and with Hursty being from Barnsley, Hursty used to come in to my pubs, and we'd work together. And I've, been at his house many times. We've recorded shows together.
You mean, yeah, I know what you mean. But and she's also friends with as well Steve White as well, a man called Steve White as well, who works for the BBC in South Yorkshire.
Yes, I've known Steve White for years as well. He's another person that's worked on my pubs, DJ stands. I know Steve White very well.
And then there's obviously Toby Foster as well.
Yeah, no Toby. Yeah.
You know everybody then?
Yeah, I just about know everybody, yeah.
Question 2, who were your early inspirations in radio when you were starting out?
Well, when I was starting out, of course, just like yourself, James Whale was a big influence because I used to listen to him late at night, and I liked his talk shows where he used to cut people off. He was the genius of late night cut off radio. Steve Wright when I was a younger kid, but Paul Burnett, Dave Lee Travis, Simon Bates, Tony Blackburn, of course, all these people influenced me to come onto radio.
Did you like another version of James Whale, a man who was on in your region and my region called Scotty McClue?
Scotty McClue, absolute legend. Yeah, I know Scotty, and I've not heard from him for a while. I don't know where he is, but Scotty McClue, yes, he was a legend. Yeah, and you seem to know them all as well, Ben. Obviously,
he reminds me a bit of James Whale.
Yes, he sort of did. He followed James Whale late night cut off. James Whale was the originator. He started it all, and then Scotty McClue came along and he did the same thing. And then everybody started doing it, but nobody could do it like Whaley.
And there was also as well a man as well called who was late night BBC presenter, brilliant late night BBC presenter called, and he's from Yorkshire and he's from Wakefield and he's a bit of a legend, and it's the one, the only Mr. Martin Kellner.
Yeah, Martin Kellner. Yeah, I know Martin. Yeah.
And his two children, young children, Larry and Paul, as well, radio children.
Right, I don't know of them, but obviously I know that name.
Yeah. Question 3 now. What is your favourite part about the job?
Well, just like yourself, I like radio. I think if you just like radio, you become a kind of a geek before you become a presenter. And then, I just like talking on air. I like playing good music for the listeners, but it all originates from being a DJ. Before I was a radio presenter, I was a DJ in clubs and nightclubs around Yorkshire region for 40 odd years. And I always wanted to be on the radio, and I did succeed in 1998 to get into commercial radio. I went for an interview to Metro Radio in Newcastle. I went to quite a few stations, but back in the day that you talk about, the early days of commercial radio, it was very difficult to get into radio. People promoted from within, and unless your face kind of fit, it wasn't easy to get into radio. You would send demo after demo and letter after letter, and no thanks, we're not interested. And then I started my own radio station, and it's become very successful. It's a commercial online radio station, but we have some great people working there. We've had the Dean Michael from, you'll probably know Dean Michael. Have you heard of Dean Michael, Ben?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
From Black Lace. He was a lead singer in Black Lace. The band Dagadoo.
Yeah, yeah. I have heard of the actor Dean Andrews, who was in Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes.
Right. Okay. But yeah, we got some good people. We've got you know, really, we've got a nice new kid called Thomas Cameron. He's a West End singer and performer, and he's got a record out in the charts at the moment. We've got some really good, credible people on the station. And of course, I present on my own station, so I don't have to listen to any program controller giving me ridiculous commands. I can do, have license to do what I feel. Always in line with Ofcom, of course, and the radio standards, the Broadcast Authority. We're online with everything like that. But, you know, it's nice to have my own station.
Brilliant. And also it's good that you have different radio stations as well. How many do you own? One or two?
We've got one. It's from the True Media Group. It's the group that we have we have three stations. We have True Radio, True 2 Radio, which plays 60s, 70s, and 80s classic hits, it was a classic hit station. And we have a station called Truly Chilled, which was rolling chilled music. So three stations under the umbrella from the True Media Group.
And you all do it remotely?
We all do it remotely, yeah. We've all got our own studios now, and we've got mobile studios. You know, we're all set up. Have you actually listened to the station, Ben? Have you looked at the website?
I have heard of it, but I'll give it a listen when I get a chance.
That's nice of you, thank you.
And you've also been up to my neck of the woods before as well a few times, Hull.
Yeah, I have. I went for an interview at Hull, you know, at Viking. I forget the programme controller. You'll know him at the time. It was a long time ago, 20 years ago. I forget his name now. And I went there. No, it was, I'm sure it was, I've forgotten. Hursty brought him into the pub to see me one night.
Simon Green?
But we were, no, I think his name could have been Simon. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
And there's also Jonathan Gold as well, who did a bit on Viking.
Jonathan Gold?
Yeah.
No, I don't know that name.
Yeah, anyway, that's it for part one. Join me in a bit for more, but for now, back to the studio.